We're here. We are. This is great. This is great. Hey, I'm going to get right to it, right to the subject matter, because they say in video, the first 5 seconds, people tune out, see they're already. Anyway, I have today somebody who I consider a prolific marketer and just a very busy guy. He is the host of 5 podcasts, right? Ben?
Yes, sir.
5 podcasts. This is Ben Albert. He's the owner of, is it Balbert? Did I say it right? Balbert Marketing?
Balbert Marketing. You can say however you like, though. It's just a word.
Yeah. The Real Business Connections Network. Mastermind behind the Real Business Connections Summit. There's a summit coming up in May. So we'll dive right into it. What is this summit all about?
First off, love you, man. The Bo knows I'm excited to be here. I'm excited for this summit. It's a long time coming. Dancing, get ready. There isn't a live band on the schedule yet, but maybe that's something that I should work in, some live music.
I think you should.
To give you the shortest version, I've been building my network and networking on LinkedIn for the better part of a year and a half without really a single ask. I try to give before I try to give before I ask. And even in this summit, there's not much of an ask because we're raising money for Alzheimer's Institute. 100,000% of the donations are going to Alzheimer's.
Right.
And what this Real Business Connections Now Summit is going to be is just a networking mastermind with great people that are go-getters, grow-getters, go-givers, people that love to network, give back, and of course raise money for Alzheimer's doing it. So 2 nights only, May 24th and 25th. That's a Tuesday and Wednesday. I know it's in the middle of spring. Lilac Festival in Rochester, my hometown, just came out. There's no conflict. It's on a Tuesday or Wednesday at night. What is it, from 6:30 to 8:30? So you get to end your day with masterminding and networking with 3 speakers each night. So we've got world-class speakers that charge thousands of dollars to speak, but they're donating their time to come help us network, help us raise money for Alzheimer's. So each speaker is going to come, they're going to wow the audience, and they're going to provide one prompt because we want conversation. We don't want just to take information and never actually utilize it. So the speaker's job is to come in, give us inspiration, give us actionable advice, give us one prompt, and then boom, this is virtual. We go into breakout rooms, and in the breakout rooms, we can actually distill some of what we learned from that speech, network, share information, continue the conversation. So again, it's Real Business Connections Now Summit, May 24th and 25th. And 100% of ticket sales go to Alzheimer's. So you're not even spending money. You're donating to an incredible cause while you get to gain a tremendous amount of value for attending. That's my short little spiel, Chris. But this is your show, brother. We can talk about whatever you'd like today.
Well, I wanted to get to that in because I know that's a cause that you believe in. And so does Nick Koziel, as you can see. Nick.
Love it, Nick. I really appreciate Nick leading the charge for the longest day to fight Alzheimer's, to end ALS. So great shout out to Nick Koziel, The Longest Day, and That Sounds Terrific podcast as well.
Yeah, that's a great. I collaborated with him on one, and that
Awesome.
we went down to Schenectady, New York together. That was kind of cool. You're a marketer, aren't you? That's your main. That's your bread and butter, right?
Yeah, you could say that.
Could say that. I mean, that's what you do, right?
It's what I put on a business card. I'm, you know this. I'm more than just a marketer. I'm a human. I'm a connector. I'm a podcaster. But if I had to put something on a business card, you might put marketing professional.
But I like your little tagline: helping business people find the essence. There's a word, essence, of who they are. And that's a good description, right? That's what you do.
That's the goal. Yeah.
Do people get a hold of you and call you and email you whatever for marketing services as well? Is that Does that happen? I mean, that's what you.
100%.
Okay.
And through a 45-second conversation, you can't find the essence of a person, but by asking the right questions, by going in and ultimately seeing what they've implemented in marketing and branding and how they're using social media, and really asking questions, getting to know the other person well before they become a client, we can determine what their essence, their brand is, and
Mhm.
start creating materials that are going to speak to their audience,
Right.
speak to their tribe, their partners, their client.
Okay.
That's at the core what we want to do.
Wow. And what would you say? And I asked you this question, and I know what the answer is, but I'll ask the for the audience here. What would you say is your proudest accomplishment in your business so far that you've accomplished?
It's a tough question to answer,
It is because
because
there's so many.
I I'm I try to remain as humble as possible
Mhm.
as I accomplish new things,
Right.
because I realize that I'm only getting started and I'm not where I'd love to be and where I'm going to be long term. Same goes with my clients. A lot of them aren't millionaires or massively successful business people yet, but they're growing and they're scaling and they're learning and getting better each day. So, if we're to talk about accomplishments, that's going to change in 6 months, I hope. But I think it's a really big accomplishment, that I started my business officially at the end of August, early September of 2020. So in the midst of COVID. So it hasn't been quite 2 years, but it's been almost a year and a half. And I didn't really gain a momentum at all the first 6 months. At
Mhm.
that time, I was teaching at a charter school as a sub, basically teaching podcasting to a couple charter schools, making whatever money I can. So the business really didn't start taking off until a year ago. And for me, it's a massive accomplishment that I've been in business over a year, that I have momentum, and I have this opportunity to put on this summit and continue pushing forward and continue growing. So year one's big for me. I'm not going out of business, and a lot of businesses do fail. But I think with the right marketing, the right work, the right mindset, they don't have to fail. And I'm happy that I'm still moving.
There you go. We have a couple of comments. First of all, Nick wants to say something here again. He's Thank you, Chris and Ben, best supporters on so many levels. I always love opportunities to collaborate with you both. And Nick, we're going to collaborate again sometime. Regarding this essence question, we have somebody here, Matt Harp. If you know, I'm not sure. I don't know the gentleman, but he's
Yeah.
asking, what are some good examples of questions to find the essence of who someone is? What would you ask somebody to find that out?
So I would go back to childhood, because a lot of what we learn when we are younger is something that sticks with us later in life. And to kind of use myself as an example, when I was very, very young, I was tremendously quiet.
Mhm.
I loved basketball, I loved music, but I was never the extroverted kind of in front person. I was
Yeah.
very quiet, and I was literally physically small. So I was the smallest kid in my class. So I was bullied, and I was a great basketball player, but I also had my shots blocked a lot because I was so short. So
Right.
I was quiet and I felt small, and I hadn't really found myself when I was really young. And
Mhm.
then later in life, I found my love in the music scene, and I found my community in the music scene. And one
Mhm.
thing that I found that was a skill set of mine was I was more of an advocate and a promoter than I was the traditional leader. I wasn't the best musician in high school. I wasn't really the best recording engineer, but I had a skill set for promoting and advocating for musicians, and
Hmm.
basically building tribes and connecting people. And at a young age, that's where I basically found, in essence, that I personally like to advocate and promote, and I like to connect.
There you
Now,
go.
I wish I had known this and actually kind of manipulated my life to follow these skill sets and these traits. But later in life, it lended well, because in marketing, I have a unique opportunity to allow businesses to not feel small the way I did. And I did have an alcoholic father.
Yeah.
It's not overly unique. A lot of people come from a rough upbringing.
Hmm.
But I felt small. And in marketing, we can bring people together. We can help them find their people, help them find their tribe, help them connect to the right people. And I, as a promoter, get to promote them and lift them up and allow that to happen. So for me, it was looking back at childhood and seeing what my natural tendencies were. I like to promote, I like to connect. I didn't like to feel small or unnoticed.
Yeah.
So the marketing field was great for me in finding. And honestly, Chris and Matt, who asked this question, I didn't know this. I kind of fell forward a lot and stumbled into a role that ended up being perfect. As a podcaster, I get to platform people and bring their voice to light. As a marketer, I do the same. I stumbled into it. But when I realized that from a very young age, that promotion, connection, those were in essence value set of my being,
Mhm.
not only can I continue to build a business that's based around that, it allows me to tell a story like the one I just told and better actually convey a little bit of purpose behind what I do. So I would start asking questions as to how was my life like at a young age? What what traits did I have, and what ultimately values are common in my life? And I don't have a cheat sheet ready for you, but there is a lot of courses on finding values. Go through a course or a YouTube video, go through a list of values, highlight the ones that speak to you, and
Mhm.
start with values. And then you can take that values and have that build the essence of your product, your offering, and honestly, just who you show up in this world. That's my story, but everyone's story is going to be different. So what I like to do, and I'm rambling, but I want to get to the point,
It's all right.
is in podcasting I get to ask questions for a living, and I think the answer is asking the question. So no one can diagnose someone without figuring out what's going on
Right.
inside. So start asking yourself questions, and I'm sure most of us already know what the answer is. We just need to take a time to maybe meditate, sit back, journal, and think it through.
Sound bite king you are right now.
That was like 5 minutes long, Bo. I hope we got some sound bites out of it.
There's a lot of sound bites in there. He's the sound bite guy. That's great. I love it. And
Thanks, man.
I hope we answered Matt's questions there. And one of my normal questions is what got you started, but you already answered that. I mean, where do you see yourself as a business person in say 5 years from now?
So this is not the best sound bite because
Well,
I
not
don't.
everything is a soundbite, but a
Well, it's
lot.
funny because I don't have a pithy answer, and honestly, I'm not long term driven the way that a lot of people teach.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a rare breed in that form.
Okay.
I see myself as an ordinary guy, a regular guy that's open minded and looking to learn every single day.
Right.
So I actually don't know exactly where I'll be in 5 years,
Mm-hmm.
and I actually kind of don't even care
Oh,
because what
there
I
you
do
go.
is I just take it day by day. I know that I like to promote, I like to advocate, I like to connect, I like to listen,
Mm-hmm.
I learn. If I can do that every single day, and if I can do that well every single day, I know that that will lead me where I need to go. And I do have, 5 year visions and this and that, but that changes all the time. And as long as I'm winning those daily action steps to do those things that are in alignment with my values, the
Mm-hmm.
5 year plan actually kind of loses merit or validity at all. And at the end of the day, that attitude probably keeps me lower than I could go with long term goals, but it keeps me happy in the moment, which is also important to me. It's not just goals, it's being happy in the moment. So, slightly controversial view, but I treat it day
No.
by day and I don't even look at the long term, brother. Really
Okay.
don't.
It's a question I like to ask, but your answer is and you said it wasn't a soundbite, but it is because of its uniqueness and the way you describe that. That's just awesome for sure.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
How many? Okay, say you have 5 podcasts. And this will be a little chance to go into what because I don't think I've heard all of them. I've seen them promoted and this and that, but what can you go through? Maybe not too long, but just to briefly describe what each one of them is.
So it's 5 in 1. So to be honest with myself in the world, it's one main podcast called the Real Business Connections Network,
Right.
but there's multiple segments. So imagine a network of shows with 5 different shows because each show has a unique, spin, a difference to it.
Right.
So to walk through all 5 as simple as possible, it all started with Rochester Business Connections, which is connecting local leaders in Rochester, New York, and the surrounding region. Rochester, Ithaca, Syracuse, Buffalo. I don't keep it just to Rochester, but connections in Rochester region. That's where I started. Now that started to build, and I wanted to talk to national mentors and do all these other things. So I started Learn, Speak, Teach. Guys, it's the exact same show as Rochester Business Connections. However, it's not locally centric. It's a national reach where I get to speak to mentors that are operating at a higher level than I can even imagine that they'd even spend time with me. I get to speak and spend time with my mentors. So
That's cool.
Rochester show, Learn, Speak, Teach is national. 5 Minute Fridays is easy to implement business tips for busy people. Anyone who wants to learn more and be better in the shortest amount of time possible. Both those first 2 shows are long form. So 5 Minute Fridays is where we can take 3, 5, 10 minutes, have an actionable tip that's just about as long as a short commute or even less. So that's where 5 Minute Fridays comes into play. Real Hits is basically, I don't know if I can call it a show, but Real Hits is where I restream other podcasts. So
Okay.
my network has a lot of me, and I wanted to take voices like you, like Nick at That Sounds Terrific, like Neil Carroll and Kevin Rustici and Tyler White at Time Out with Leaders. And these are all normalized podcasts with Linda Healer and Build Your Business Better with Andrew Biernat. These are all great networkers, connectors, and podcasters. I replay their show on my network so the audience can hear a different voice, different perspective, different conversation than the content I create myself.
Okay.
The final one, the 5th piece for my niece is Ben's Bites. And that's just Ben's Bites is when I talk about whatever I want. There's no schedule. There's no expectation at all. I choose when I put out an episode. I choose what it's about, and that's where I can just kind of take journal entries and things that are on my mind and broadcast that out to the world. So it's all under Real Business Connections.
I see.
Real Business Connections. However, if you were to go to Real Business Connections, you get a whole stream of all 5 shows at once. And if any of that confused anyone, I do have individual playlists for each show. So if you just want to focus on, for example, Learn, Speak, Teach and listen to the national mentors, you could actually listen to just Learn, Speak, Teach episodes on that playlist. So
All right.
there's the network of them all, and then there's the playlists where you can get bites of all of them. I've described this a few times, Chris. I don't know if it makes sense or not. I confuse myself sometimes, but that's what I got going on.
It makes sense to me because it's an umbrella organization, Real
Right.
Business Connections. And like you say, it's like a network. It's like ABC or whatever. They have a lot of shows, and Real Business Connections is a network of sorts. And you have 5 shows under that. Now, based on what you just said, and I never have set questions on my lives or my recorded stuff. So, based on what you just said, can you go into a recent edition or maybe an upcoming edition of one of Ben's Bites real quick?
Okay, so I haven't done a recent edition in Ben's Bites. I haven't done any in a while. I do have a list of thoughts running around. One of my favorite ones is about Tom from MySpace, and I'll walk you through it. It's a short one, but we'll walk through it.
Yeah.
So I know I when MySpace came out, I was in like middle school. I was a young buck, and I sign up for MySpace, and boom, who's your first friend? It's Tom.
Mm-hmm.
And what this bite is about is, why was Tom my first friend when I signed up for MySpace? The reason he was my first friend is that MySpace automatically populated him as my first friend. And the reason that happened was because he co-founded the platform.
Right.
So people that want to win friends and influence people, or they want a seat at the table, or they want to speak on the mic, or they want to be an influencer, or be influential, I want them to realize that they don't need to pay up or do things that are misalignment to try to work their way onto that mic. They don't have to do the corporate route, even though there's nothing wrong with it. They can actually just start their own event, start their own podcast, bring their own mic, bring their own table. The best way to win friends and influence people is just to be influential. But you don't have to. We live in a world that's so connected that you don't have to do it an old-fashioned way and get signed by a speaking agency or a label. You can go start your own networking group, your own podcast, your own video channel. And the best way to get on that mic is to be the one that brought that microphone, just like Tom did.
Soundbite.
Just like Tom did from MySpace.
Yeah, that's amazing. I love that. See, we got Ben to do a bite. Cool, huh?
Honey, I'm doing a bite.
Did you bring the salt and the pepper and the beer?
I really hope I didn't kill someone's ears yelling into the mic. Ooh, okay. Love
root
it.
beer. It's from Maine. Came from Maine.
Okay.
Anyway,
small batch.
Yeah, that was. On the national scene, what was the name of that one again? I'm sorry.
Learn, speak, teach.
Well, who would you say would be one of your favorite interviews from the national? I'll have to listen to more of them. Honestly, I haven't heard a lot of them, to be honest. I do support everything you do. I just don't always have time to catch it.
Don't worry about it.
But who have you interviewed that really had an impact on you from that side?
I want to introduce two. First off, every single one of them's good. I recommend people just scroll through and, based on the titles, choose something that seems to hit home and resonate with them. But two that I want to mention is, one would be Stu Heineck, How to Get a Meeting with Anyone. So Stu wrote the book, How to Get a Meeting with Anyone. It's literally like New York Times bestseller. Nowadays, everybody's a bestseller. This is like big list bestseller book. He's a top 50 voted marketer, top 50 voted sales book. And Stu talks about his unique strategies to get meetings with just A-listers that are way out of your league. He has a lot of unique ways to get those meetings. And on that episode, he explains exactly, he gives away the golden ticket on how he gets those meetings. Now, part of why I mentioned Stu and part of why I mentioned the next guy, Brian Bogert, is Stu's actually speaking at the upcoming event, Real Business Connections Now. So he's donating his time again for free, where he has a new book coming out called How to Grow Your Business Like a Weed. And it's perfect because springtime, the weeds will be coming out, and he has a lot of beautiful metaphors on how we can grow our business with the kind of sustainability and almost just, weeds are just intense, right? I can't explain it, but he will explain it. So Stu's going to be at Real Business Connections Now. And part of why I asked these gentlemen to be in the summit was because of the podcast interview. They're incredible. The other guy is Brian Bogert. And so the name of the episode is Turning Trauma into Triumph. Moved People Move People. So Brian Bogert, Turning Trauma into Triumph. And where that comes from is when he was a kid, he got hit by, I believe it was a truck, but he got hit in a parking lot. His arm was completely 100% severed from his body. And through the grace of God, there was a nurse that witnessed all of this, went into the supermarket, was able to like get people to bring ice. They put his arm on ice. They were able to reattach it to his body, and he still lives with pain. And that wasn't the only struggle that he's went through in his life. As we all have stories and we all have struggles, but through his pain and his experience, he's basically just been driven to give back. He's been driven to give back his whole life, and he's a human behavior coach and expert. And he really just, I'm being honest with you, and spending an hour with him on a podcast, he moved the needle on my life. He changed my life for the better. I know that personally. And my hope is that people can listen to the show and he can change their lives as well. But his story, and not just the story, but what he has learned over 30 years of being a human behavior coach, is magnificent. So again, I'm being promotional, but everyone deserves to attend the Real Business Connections Now Summit. Stu Heineck will be there from How to Get a Meeting with Anyone, and Brian Bogert will be there of No Limits University, where he basically teaches people how to not have limits. Thanks for asking. They're two great episodes to start with.
My pleasure. I always like to know those sorts of things. Now, give me the dates again and where it's happening for the summit.
May 24th and 25th are the dates. It's happening via Zoom at 6:30, so you can dial in. We're going to have breakout rooms and masterminding, but I'll leave the main room open. So if someone feels nervous to go and get on camera and talk, you don't have to. You can just stay in the main room and just watch the speakers, because there'll be 50% speakers and 50% networking. It's virtual, so anyone in the world can attend.
So the proceeds will benefit the Alzheimer's Foundation.
Yes. If someone can't figure it out and they want to give me cash or Venmo me, they can, and I'll donate, but I don't really want to do it that way. The way I'm selling tickets is directly through the donation link. So you donate to Alzheimer's, I get a little pinged email that you donated, and then I add you to the list. So the only way you can attend is by donating, and it goes directly to the Longest Day for Alzheimer's. I don't even see the money. I don't want to see the money. We're going to give it all away.
Oh. Soundbites. Okay, is your middle name Soundbite?
It's Scott. So S for Soundbite Scott, I suppose.
BSA.
Right? Yeah.
BSA.
BSA.
Ben Soundbite Albert.
It is BSA.
How long you said Balbert marketing was something that took effect in 2020, summer of 2020, right?
Yes. So August of 2020, end of the month, I filed for an LLC. I didn't know what that was, but I assumed I needed to start a business.
Yeah.
And the rest is history. Just kind of figuring it out as I go.
Well, that's the way it goes for sure. You were an employee at one point in time, weren't you, for someone else?
Yes.
Before all of that happened, can you give us an idea about your humble backgrounds on that?
I have done a lot of things, and again, we went through childhood and liking to promote. Yeah. I wish that I knew more about myself at a younger age and could like codify and understand exactly like where my mission in life was. I don't think it's ever too late, but by chance, I always fell in that marketing sales role.
Yeah.
So I went to school for communications, didn't use my degree at all, became a supervisor for Rite Aid, so did retail, did management. I worked as a third party for Chobani Yogurt, sold Chobani Yogurt, basically going to stores, building displays, selling it into retailers. So Chobani Yogurt, I did road shows for a little while. And all these things, and then I worked in a more corporate role with marketing for large scale, like lots of clients, small to medium sized businesses, and I did that for quite some time. So it's like no matter what I did, I was selling or promoting or communicating somehow.
Yeah.
but I didn't even realize it. And I love Rite Aid, no issue, but I spent a lot of time at Rite Aid when if I could turn back time, I wouldn't have spent my time there. I would have dived right into marketing at a younger age. So
Mhm.
it goes back to where we started. It's great to know your skills and your values and the essence of what you want to accomplish, because maybe that retail store isn't a good fit for you. Maybe you should be doing video like the Bow, or maybe you should be podcasting like I do as well.
That see more sound bites. I'm overusing that term today because there's so many of them. It's amazing.
I want a soundbite of just a montage of you saying sound bites.
Oh, I can do that. Past 3 or 4 podcasts, I'll do that. That's a
Yeah,
great idea for content, isn't it?
it
Soundbite,
is.
soundbite, soundbite, soundbite with all these different guests. Soundbite.
I love it.
One of the questions I like to ask uh, uh, guests on the Bow Live or the recorded ones is if you had a time machine like
Mm.
the TARDIS here,
Where'd you have a time machine?
it actually works. No, it doesn't work.
Interesting. I just wonder how you
But it's Matt Smith, David Tennant, the
do.
TARDIS,
I
Doctor
do I
Who.
just put my thumb in there, or how do I fit my whole body in there?
Well, it's bigger on the inside, as they say. Anyway, if you had a time machine like this, or maybe that Marty McFly DeLorean, one of those two things, and you could go back and hear this, the TARDIS.
I hear it.
Cool, huh? Now it'll just blink for a while. Now
Sounds
you're
like
done.
sounds like my dog.
It does, doesn't it? If you're not familiar with the sound, it just sounds like noise.
Yeah.
It might sound like that over the internet. And I lost track of where I was going with that question. Now you could go back in time and meet one person who influenced you. Doesn't have to be anybody famous. And you could do it just one time. Who might you go back and talk to? Somebody that you admire.
If I only had one, I feel like it would have to be Gandhi.
I've heard this before. Amazing. Yes.
I don't even have a good answer as to why. I mean, we could logically explain why that's a good choice. I just think that just his presence could teach me things that are unexplainable.
That's a deep soundbite. Oh, enough with the soundbite. What's your favorite movie, Ben?
Ooh. It's not my favorite, but it's one of my favorite. The first thing that comes to mind is Forrest Gump.
Yeah.
This is such a fascinating story. It never gets old for me. I always notice something new.
Yeah. Every time.
It just felt like running.
Yeah. Felt like running. Uh, Ben, we're going to wrap it up, but I would like to invite you on again at some point,
Cool.
and we'll do another live thing. Nick did say one more thing, and he wants to thank you again for the Alzheimer's promotion. So there we go. And Ben Albert of Albert Marketing, based in Rochester, New York. I feel like I know half of the city over there, Rochester. I think I know that more people in there than I know in Glens Falls, where I am sometimes.
Interesting. Maybe you got to pay us a visit sometime soon.
Yes, I know. I should get out there because I tell you what, I lived in Indiana for quite a long time, and I've been wanting to get back out there and visit. So and we want to go out west and get out to Utah and Arizona and California and all that stuff. So on the way out, go on 87 to Albany and hit I-90 and drive forever to get to get over to the other side of the state.
Mm-hmm.
And I would love to stop in and visit everybody. You and Kevin Rustacy. I said his name right.
Yeah, good job.
And Coach Jim Johnson.
If you're gonna, I know you have a lot of buddies in Buffalo as well. So if you're gonna make the trip to the area, whether we gotta meet somewhere in between, like Binghamton, or whether someone's gotta travel, we should have like a big hootenanny and all get together, the Buffalo and the Rochester crew.
We should plan that, and I'll drive out there. It'd be fun.
Maybe round 2 of the Real Business Connections Now Summit will be in person, but let's get through the virtual event first. But
that's first thing, yeah.
Regardless, I want to get you in person sometime.
That'll be great. Helping business people find out the essence of who they are, and it would just fit if I said it. Emmy award winning. It just sounds good when it rolls off your tongue. But no,
Mm,
your stuff is awesome.
thank you.
Check out Real Business Connections. Check out balbertmarketing.com for some unique perspectives on how to get yourself out there and branded and just known by everybody. Ben, thank you very much, and live long and prosper.
Thank you for having me. It's been a pleasure. Live long, prosper.